Uh, Mallikarjun, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
All right, so we'll be starting now. Hello and welcome to the second day of Insight. I'm Vibha from third year mechanical department and an executive member of IEEE. For those who missed yesterday's talk, Insight is IEEE NITK's annual flagship event. So we give a platform for seniors to share their undergrad journey and talk about academics, internships, placements, and higher studies. Yesterday, we had seniors from ECE and EEE department sharing their views. Today, we have seniors from computer science department. And this is a very good opportunity for juniors to get any and all of their questions related to these topics clarified. So, without any delay, moving to our first speaker, we have for this evening, the first speaker is Shri Raksha. She is a final year computer science undergrad. She is a software engineer intern at Google, Women Techmaker Scholar 2020, mentor at Women Who Code Delhi chapter in the Mentorship Program 3.0, a participant of Uber She++ 2020, former software development engineer at Microsoft, and an upcoming full-time employer at Microsoft. Over to you, Shri Raksha.
Hey everyone, I guess I'm audible. I'll just share my screen.
Yeah, you're audible.
Is this presentation also visible? Hello?
Your presentation is visible. Go on.
Okay, cool. Hello everyone, welcome for day 2 of Insight. Today's talk's going to be specific on ComSoc of inside NIT, IEEE and ITK. Yeah, so I am Sri Raksha. A quick introduction about me. I am from 4th year CSE. Yeah, I haven't taken any minors. And I have interned in tech giants like Google and Microsoft. I am a recipient of Google's Women Technical Scholarship last year. The scholarship has been renamed to Generation Google Scholarship from last year, and I'm an avid competitive programmer. Yeah. So about my journey, okay, let's be talking about my journey. So in the first year, I was very proactive and I attended most of the sessions held by clubs at NITK like IEEE, ACM, Web Club, and all. So due to this, I had pretty much interest in DSA. So I was doing a lot of DSA in my free time. I was doing it mainly in HackerRank and Codeforce. I was also part of IEEE student members, so I did participate in the Envision project. So this was pretty much what I did in my first year. And when it came to summer, I got an IRIS internship as an UI UX intern. And with the help of a senior, I started taking CP very seriously because DSA is computer programming is more on giving contests related to DSA. So that's when I started seriously like taking CP as like very seriously. So now comes of what you can do in your first year. So first is try to get a quality internship in your first year if it's possible. It's actually hard to get in your first and second year industrial internships, but if you get, it's good. But try to get a relevant internship. Let's say if you're interested in course, yes, try having internship related to that. Even if it's startup, it's fine. Quality of the internship is much more important than quantity. So doing one good internship is better than having done three which were okay-ish. So do give an attempt on getting internships because sometimes it's hard. Uh, Companies usually don't give, but startups sometimes tend to give opportunities. So do apply there. And this is the best time to start exploring into CS domains like machine learning, web development, app development, because you've just entered into your second year. And in the second year, you're actually introduced to the department that you are in, or let's say you had jumped departments. So that's when the actual entry to the department starts. So here it's the best time to start investing in your skills. Be it whichever department, but if you're into CS, then yeah, these three are the recommended ones that I would say. which are good for beginners. And also, I would encourage you guys to start doing some simple projects if you are interested, or if you have learned something. Let's say you have started Andrew NG course is the best one. I think Vijay can stress more on that later. Yeah, but for ML, I think Andrew NG is the best one to start with. So along when you're doing it, once you or at least when you've done, try having some hands-on experience on some simple projects to begin with. This helps you to conceptualize what you have learned, apply that skill, and also it might also help you to put that in your resume. So that also does matter. This also, along with all these topics, other domains that you have, this is the best time to also invest in your DSA skills, because DSA doesn't require, doesn't have much of the prerequisites, uh, and you already would have finished some programming language by then, let's say C or Python, so you can easily start with this. So here are a few amazing, good coding sites to start with if you are into DSA, if you want to do. Uh, for beginner level, HackerRank and HackerEarth are better. And for intermediates, like this, from intermediate on, it's more on competitive programming type. So to start with, you can start with CodeChef and LeetCode. I would stress on LeetCode for the fact that LeetCode is one of the good um site where you can actually practice DSA for your interviews. So if you want to start from now itself, that's also a good starting point. And if you want to go more into competitive programming, you can start with Codeforces, Podge, and AdCoder. Okay, so now my second year at NITK. So I continue doing CP. As I said, I had started CP in my summer, first year summer. I took it very seriously, so I started investing more on that. I participated in few hackathons like SheHack. SheHack was conducted by Gojek, and my team got selected for onsite, so I got a chance to go to Bangalore with my team and participate there. I also attended Athena, which is the annual flagship hackathon for women, taken by IEEE and Web Club as a collab. So my team stood third there. So as I was part of I got recruited into IEEE, NITK, and Web Club. NITK, I wasn't part of. I'm not part of any other club. So as part of IEEE, NITK, I got to work on a year-long project in my second year. In my project, we were five of us, two mentors and three mentees. Uh, and yeah, I also took part in the summer mentorship program by IEEE. Next, coming to the December, that's like the winter break of my second year, I applied for Google Step internship for both India and Singapore. Singapore Step internship is open for all, but the one for India is specifically for girls. But I got rejected in both. For Singapore internship, I just cleared the first round, I guess, because there was a coding round, which is I think common for all. So I just got till there, and I didn't get any other further notifications from them. But for Google India, I got selected for the interview round, but I got rejected during the interview. Okay, so next, somewhere in the March, that is roughly the time when the COVID thing started. Oracle had come for on campus, and they selected 20 students for their internship. I was also one among them. And at the same time, there's this Microsoft Coders thing going on side by side, but this is somewhat annual program conducted by Microsoft. So what is Microsoft Coders? Microsoft Coders is a community for second year girls where as part of the community, you get a chance to do the mentorship or internship program under Microsoft. So if you perform good qualities and all, they will give you the direct internship. That is, you get to do a second internship at Microsoft in your second year. Else, a mentorship was confirmed. This was what happened to my year. I think this year, or I would say this summer, I think they were giving open only for mentorship program. Yeah. So at one point, I was in the confusion whether to take Oracle and be fine with the Microsoft mentorship program, or to give my best and try for the internship itself. But yeah, I gave my best. I didn't want to lose any of my opportunities, so I gave my best. I got Microsoft internship also. But later, Oracle, because everything had turned virtual that time, so Oracle had revoked their internship. So I went ahead with my Microsoft internship. And then also during the month of March, there was an event called Uber She++. So it's again a cohort from Uber for girls in tech who are in the second years in their undergrad. So they usually it's 40 girls from India get selected for this. and I was one among them. The selection process for Uber C++ is just that this is one coding round, and if you clear that, the top 40 will get selected. So I was one among them. So I got this was the event happened in the first week of April in 2020. That's last year. And also there was a scholarship program from Google, as I mentioned before, called Women's Technical Scholarship. And India comes under the Asia Pacific region. So among the Asia Pacific region, that's roughly like 7-8 countries, I think. But in our time, uh, the scholars were only from 3 countries. But only 74 girls or something get selected for the scholarship all throughout these many countries. So getting that scholarship actually has a lot of weightage. So in case you're so now if I have to talk about the eligibility of the scholarship, you have to be either first year or second year in your undergrad on CSE or related department. So I would suggest you guys to actually apply in case you're eligible for this, because one is, you get $1,000. That's the very big plus point. Getting $1,000 as a scholarship, that's like 75,000. That just you can pay roughly your one semester fees in that money. Yeah, so that's something great. So also, and as I said, if you're eligible for it, please do apply, because I also applied it on the last day because I was so lazy to apply. I procrastinated it till the end. Then at one point I really thought ki being selected as one among those 74 students is very hard. Like the probability is very low. So the chance of me getting is also so low. So why should I even apply? But there's this one thing inside me which is like, what if you regret later that you didn't apply? So that was what made me apply, and I'm an example. I got the internship. The scholarship. So I would say, in case you're eligible, please do apply for every opportunity that you get. You never know which clicks for you, and it's just to be safer side, not to regret later in your life. Yeah. So now, what can you do in your second year? Again, try for an internship. Industrial internships is a little hard when it comes to in your second year, but startups can be a good option. Start approaching your seniors if they worked in any startup, so that you can get some recommendation into that particular company for internships. At NITK, you have for girls you have Google Step and Microsoft Codes. For others, in case Oracle comes for on-campus for your second year internship, you have that option. Samsung R&D also comes. So those two are the opportunities that you can get, or you can try for open source contribution, where you can try on GSOC. GSOC can be done in a first. It can be done in any year actually, but the best ideal time that you can do is either in your first year or in your second year. The chances in the second year are high because you already have some experience by then. But yeah, if you want to, you can do internship side by side with GSOC. So do give and apply for that also if you are interested in contributing for open source. And now the next thing what you can do is start applying what all skills you have learned. Let's say you've done ML, so start doing projects on ML, or you've done web development, some quality project that you've on the skill that you've learned or the domain that you've learned, so that you can put this in your resume. So because roughly in your third year, that is just as soon as the third year starts, and somewhere in the month of August, or in the last week of July, company starts coming for on-campus internship season. So if you start preparing at that moment, it will be more hectic. So keep 1 or 2 projects ready by then. It's not hard in the fast rule that you have to have projects, but it's very much recommended. I wouldn't recommend adding your course projects in your resume because that's more specific than what you can do as an open domain topic. And having an open domain topic for your project will be more beneficial, and it also stresses on on showing what you actually like. Let's say you do 2 or 3 machine learning projects, so the resume kind of says that okay, this person is interested in machine learning, so that's kind of helpful for the company, so the recruiters, when they look at your resume. The next very important thing is start preparing for your on-campus internship season. So mainly focus on DSA, because that's what is required when you have to clear your first round of interviews, or most of your interviews. Usually the last 1 or 2 will be relevant on core CS topics like operating system or database or networks and all. So start focus mainly on DSA if you haven't, or if you've already started, start solving 1 or 2 questions daily. So preparing daily has much more better result than doing everything or like spending 24 hours or 18 hours a day in the end. So start preparing from the beginning, start making plan or try to schedule a timetable for which all topics to cover, but make sure you cover DSA and core CS topics if you are interested in CS related industrial internships. Yeah, so now what I do in my third year. So I received the PPI from Microsoft, and so Amazon has a program called Amaze Wow. It's again for your internship in your third year or 6 month internship and FTE for your final year. So this is an off-campus opportunity that you have. So you can apply that. The process starts somewhere in May or April. For this year, I think it's already done halfway, so you can't apply in case you want. But next year you can do apply. Keep a reminder if you want to apply for Amazon. It's an off-campus. So the plus point over here is in case if you apply and get this, you can have 2 offers in your hand. One is from Amazon and one is from some on-campus internships. You can choose whichever you want. So keep an eye on this. The next one was Google internship again through campus, but it wasn't called on campus though. So what here one benefit that you can have in case you get the scholarship is that my previous batch had the scholars who got the scholarship didn't have to write the first round of didn't have the screening round. They directly got selected into the interview round. They didn't have the resume screening or coding round and all. But for our batch, we got mock interviews from Googlers, so we didn't have that head start. But yeah. Mock interviews also contribute a lot because you get to know which is your uh, weak area or point of it. So yeah, that's one thing. So yeah, so by third year, I had 3 internships offers in hand. One is from Google, one is from PPI from Microsoft, and from Amazon. But yeah, I went ahead with Google. And yeah, again, being part of IEEE and ITK, I was part of another year-long project. So one thing is, if you're part of an exclusive clubs like IEEE, you get to do 2 year-long projects, which you can actually, if you actually end up doing quality work in that, you can put in your resume. So 2 projects already in your resume by now. So that's a good thing. Also, in this year, March, Women Who Code Delhi, Women Who Code, the Delhi chapter had a mentorship program called Mentorship Program 3.0, and I was one of the mentor in that. So now what actually comes here, part of it is how was I able to get that? I was a mentor. Yeah, so how was I part of this mentorship? So I had a friend of mine who was one of the scholars along with me. So she approached me saying, "Would you mind being a mentor?" And I was like, "Fine, it would be a good opportunity for me also." So one thing over here is the connection that you get through whichever opportunity that you applied. Let's say through internships. Through internships also get to meet a lot of peers, a lot of other students from all over India, or the company people, or some friends like this. You're the more you connect with people, the more beneficial you get. So if I was not connected, or if I didn't get that internship or sorry, that scholarship, I wouldn't be part of this mentorship at all. So I can proudly say, okay, I mentored few people outside my college, and that's something I can talk about in the future. So that's a plus point for me. So now, again, what else can you do in your third year, someone? So one is give your 200% best for your internships. One is to have the quality internship, and the second to get a PPO. Getting a PPO has much more less risk than sitting for on-campus placement, but doesn't mean that you should not sit for on-campus placement also. But it's just a lesser headache that you have. If you really like your company, you can work hard to get a PPO. One is again, if you by now you can actually start mastering on the topics you like. It's also a time in case suppose you start doing app development, you don't like it, you can jump easily. But at a later point, jumping is a little hard. So I would say start delving deep into the domains that you found interesting. Like let's see, if you like DSA like me, or you want like giving contests, start taking competitive programming seriously. If you like machine learning, start doing projects on them. Start reading research papers on them, stuffs like that. And also start preparing for on-campus placement. I would say preparing for what may, you have to kind of prepare for your on-campus placement. In case you can, if you don't get a PPU, you're already ready to sit for the placement. That's one thing. The second case is, suppose you want to uh, apply for off-campus for some other good company or other dream company of yours. You're already prepared. So these are the two things which you can, which is why preparing for on-campus placement is important. The stuff that you can prepare is for, again, same, the DSA is the main thing, and core CS topics like operating system, database, and also be sure with your resume. I'll talk about that later. Yeah. So what I'm doing now is my final year. I got my Microsoft on-campus FT offer. I'm also currently the co-chair at Algorithms of Web Club. Yeah. Yeah. So now let me talk about how to have a good resume, because resume is something that stands out when it comes to industrial career. Yeah. So the first thing is having a one-page resume. Try to keep your resume. Try to avoid having long resume like 2 or 3 pages. Recruiters or people won't be interested in reading so much stories and all. So keep it one page and avoid having 2 columns. So keep it just single column wala resumes. And you can use any standard templates, or you can, I would suggest you to use Credle or Overleaf. These are the best softwares you can have for maintaining a resume. And make sure you update it regularly. At least after each sem, make sure you update your CGPAs. Why I emphasize on updating your resume is, let's say you found some opportunity, let's say some internship or some scholarship, and you want to apply, and you don't want to miss that opportunity, that you forget it later. So you want to keep your resume handy, up to date resume handy, so that you can apply immediately. So that's one thing. So that is why maintaining updating your resume regularly is very important. And next, make sure your contact information is very prominent. This comes handy a lot of times when you apply off campus. And also write, just don't write stories when it comes to your internship or your project related information. So keep it in points. Keep it in points. Mention all our necessity information should be there, but it should not be that you don't give enough information, because as a reader they just know about the project, about what you write. They don't know anything else. So do mention everything in point and don't write paragraphs or stories. Also highlight important aspects of your resume, like CGPAs or some ranks that you get, or some this thing that you've interned or applied for, like scholarship and all. And keep it in the reverse chronological order. That is, whichever, let's say if have to talk about the experience or the internship that you've done. So first, on the top, write the recent internship that you've done, and then the next one, like that, or list the important ones in the top. Okay. And kindly don't write something false stories in your resume, because in case they catch you, you'll be in danger. That's why. Also, if you are a person like me and I have some coding enthusiasm, and are doing some computer programming or some contests like Codeforces, Codechefs, or some company coding competitions like Kickstart, Code Jam, Hacker Cup, and all, do mention that in your resume. It shows that you are interested in computer program. It shows you're interested in DSA and problem solving more than computer programming, and that also comes in handy that the companies are likely to select you if you have a decent rank. You don't have to be like rank within rank 100 or something, but having a decent score or a rank can be very beneficial. It shows that you are taking part in such contests and all. Also, once your resume is ready, make sure you get it reviewed by some senior. Also, check for some grammatical errors. For that, you can use Grammarly. With your Edu account, you can actually access Grammarly for free. So do make sure you avoid some grammatical mistakes in your resume. Keep it short, simple, crisp, neat. Yeah, that's about resumes. And yeah, now what to do for your interviews? First is you can expect questions from about your resume and projects along with core CS topics that I've told. So be confident with your resume and projects or your some internships that you have done. So be very confident with that. Like they might ask questions on what have you done in this project, or what was your contribution, or tell me an incident where you guys were stuck somewhere and what did you do to come out of it. Such questions, or tell me an example where you exhibited some leadership qualities and all. So be very confident with that. These are some of the standard HR questions that you can expect somewhere in the last of your interview rounds. So I would say be prepared with this also, uh, just to ace your interview and like to catch that a particular internship or your, whichever opportunity that you have. And yeah, when it comes to course, the questions that you get, most of them are DSA related, and they might ask, as I said, like HR questions, they might ask some core CS topics. These topics may include operating system, database, networks, OOPS also. So be prepared with that. Also, have your mock interviews from your seniors or your peers. This actually helps in a lot of way. One, having a, you don't, you know, your first interview won't be direct with the like the company interviewer in the beginning. So having a mock interview first of all helps you to analyze your weak points, and you won't be, you know, overwhelmed when you go there for the first time. So that's very important, having a mock interview. And if you get it done by your seniors also end up giving you some tips on improvement, seeing being on the other side of the interview. So that's very beneficial. I would stress more on having mock interviews also. Then now roughly the time of what you do when you are about to start your interview. So the first interview can always be overwhelming, I understand. So try doing some a bit of meditation or some breathing exercise before the commencement of the interview. This will help you to relax your body and mind, so you'll be a little calm than, you know, anxious when you're about to start your interview. So that's one thing. And in case usually when it's virtual, because this year and next year I am having a very high, I assume it was going to be virtual interview process for interviews and placements. So keep a pen, a paper, and water bottle handy, because you can't. It won't look correct if you know, walk in the middle of the interview for water or for a pen or a paper. And also keep it handy, and please don't be late for the interview. It's fine if you are 30 minutes early for your interview, but please don't be late. It might have a bad impression. The interviewer might have a bad impression on you, so the whole opportunity you might miss it out. Yeah. So now during the interview, some of the very important things that you have is you have to think out loud. Let's say you have a DSA questions. Let's say, um, suppose you have an array of numbers, blah 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 blah, and and you have to, when you think out loud, the interviewer, one is the interviewer knows what you're thinking about. So in case you go on a wrong track, they might help you. And this they, in the interview, usually the interviewers write down points on what you think, what's your thinking process. So the next set of people who look at this feedback that the interviewer gives about your performance in the interview, they're able to judge you better. And thinking out loud is always a plus point. So think out loud during interviews. Think, just it's what I would say is, as soon as you get your questions, first ask clarifying questions. Let's say, as I said, the question has something, given an array of numbers, blah blah blah. So you can ask, can the numbers, is the numbers always integer, or can it have floating numbers, or is the number always positive, can it have zero or negative numbers? See, these are like clarifying questions. So this shows that you kind of think in every angle, which is again which you kind of get brownie points for this. So make sure, so when you start ask clarifying questions, then take some 5 minutes, think about some approach that you have. It's fine even if it's brute force or a very simple solution. Make sure, so then after some, as I said, after 5 minutes, explain your approach to the person. So if there's any issue, or if they feel you've not understood the question properly, they might guide you well. Or if they might like your approach and still tell you to start coding. That time also think out loud. Let's say, okay, you write one line of code and kind of explain. You don't have to explain it after every line. Let's say you write a loop. After you write a loop, just tell them what this loop is doing, that they know what you're coding about. It's not, should not be that they're blank and they don't know what's happening, like what you're coding and all. So think out loud during the interview. And once you're done coding, first go through the code once to make sure you have not written, there aren't any bugs, and make sure you don't write pseudocodes. always ask a question whether they want you to write a full-fledged code, or they just want you to write some function, because most of the time they just want you to write some function which does the work, but sometimes they might expect you to write a full working program. So make sure you do that, and once you're done, just go through it once just to make sure that there aren't any bugs in the code before saying that okay, I'm done. And while so after you finish coding, explain what your code does. You don't exactly, as I said, you don't exactly explain every line, but that's kind of important. Just in, like, let's say you have a for loop, just mention what the for loop does, what the iterator is for. Yeah, and one more thing is, um, nomenclature for the variables is very important. So don't just write I plus plus or J plus plus. Just give a very correct or informative variable name so that they understand what's happening. And it's also a very important, crucial thing, because if they're hiring you for internship or full time, they're gonna see what you're going to do, right? So there are other people in the company who also have to see your code. So if you write I plus plus J plus plus, they won't know what's happening there. So naming the variables properly is very important. So remember to do that when you're in the interview. Also, after you're done coding, as I said, when you're explaining the code, take some sample case, or usually would have given you some sample cases in the test cases in the starting when they were giving the question. So you can talk about the sample cases. In case they don't give you any sample case, you can request for them. If they'll be like, okay, you only try finding one, so do have some sample cases for yourself. This will help you to analyze the question better, and also try covering as many corner cases as possible, and show that your code actually works on these corner cases. Let's say, as I said, like for the previous questions, let's say they say an array of numbers and you got to know it was integers. And what if that array contains negative numbers? Show that your code actually works for even for negative integers or even for duplicate numbers, such questions. Sometimes uh, yeah, so as I said, giving a very cautious eye on what the question is also important. Let's say the given question is, say, given a sorted array. So in at some point of your code, if you sort the array again, it's a waste of time. So like that. So be very conscious when you're reading the question. Make sure you understand it well, clarify it properly with your interviewer once, whether what you're assuming of the question is correct or not. Mention any assumptions that you have taken to them. uh, yeah, that's pretty much about how to ace your interviews. These are the tips that I have. Yeah, so final pieces of advice about your life at NITK or life in or career in general. One thing is, never underestimate yourself. You are more talented and more deserved than you think. So always keep open for opportunities. So as I said, whenever you get an opportunity, do apply for that. Don't hesitate. Ki, Arey yaar, I may not get that. The probability of me getting that opportunity is low, is a lot of less. Like, don't think that. Uh, you never know what clicks for you. So apply for, if you're eligible for something and you like that, or you want that opportunity, do apply. Never hesitate. As I said, you might not get it. Also, this is something. The next point that I have is something important for your college life, also your career, also, and your life in the future. So do take care of your health, your mental health mainly. Avoid burnouts. Avoid This helps you in avoiding stresses, and stress are a major dark thing that you, or a dark negative side that you have in your life, or in your life, let's say in the industry or anywhere. So take good care of your health. That's very important. And never feel bad when you get rejected. So rejections are redirections. Okay, you always learn something new from rejections that you face in your life, and that's not the end. Like, there are a lot of other opportunities. There are a lot of other companies or scholarships or something or the other that you can apply or that you can have. So don't always get stuck at one point. Always have the hunger to learn more, grow more, and achieve more. This helps you to develop as a whole person in your life and in your career, and never be overconfident of anything. This usually makes you end up fall in the ground in the end. That's why. So never be overconfident of anything. And yeah, so in your life at NITK, always make sure you have a balance of fun and learning, because uh, if you keep learning and don't have fun, when you look back in your life after several years, you'll be like, "Arey, arey, मैंने क्या कर दिया?" And having only fun and no learning is also not good because you might not end up having a good career in the future. So yeah, so have a good balance of that, and always keep this in mind: what is coming is better than what is gone. So, as I said, be open for opportunities. As I said, even if you get rejected in something, don't get disheartened. There's some of the other opportunity waiting for you in the future, which might be better than before. So always be open, keep smiling. Yeah. So this is my phone number and mail ID in case you want to contact me. Yeah, that's it. My presentation. Any questions?
So there are a few questions in the chat. I'll read them out for you.
Yeah.
Samhita asked, like, are students with minors in computer science or related branches, but majoring in some other branch eligible for
It
any of
depends
the
on
courses?
companies. It actually depends on companies, but there are most of the companies are open for minor branches, like students who have minor in CSE or IT. So keep an eye on IRIS. Yeah, that's all I can stress upon. But there are companies, CS related companies who are open for minor branches also.
Okay, and Harsha, he asked, are software development and other computer related work stressful?
I would say stress is there in every field. Either you do a research or you become a software developer or you are some mechanical engineer and are more into that. Stress is there everywhere. Yeah, it depends on the person. The person. मतलब है, stress is there everywhere. It's just that how you manage with it. That's all. As I said, like, taking good care of your mental and physical health is important. You can do meditation, you can do yoga, you can do breathing exercises. These are better stress busters that you can have. Yeah. But if you feel, I would say, see what where your passion lies. Like even if you are from some mechanical, there are companies which are open to all branches. Okay, it's not every time circuit branches. So in case you have a passion for computer science, do apply for companies like that. Do start investing your time in such topics like say DSA mainly. Then start learning about operating systems. You don't have to be, you know. Expert in that, but having a basic knowledge is important and necessary. Yeah, it just, I would say, see where your passion lies. If you are interested in computer science, then do apply.
All right, and Abhishek wants to know, will you be okay with sharing the PPT that you just showed?
Okay, I'll just share.
All right, okay. So, any more questions you guys have, you can either drop it in the chat or you can unmute and ask directly. Okay, so I think that's it for the questions from the viewers. So if you have anything else, also feel free to reach out to Sri Raksha. She'll be happy to help you all. And thank you so much for this talk. It was very insightful, very informative. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Okay, so moving on to our next speaker for this evening, we have Viday Nema. He's a final year CS undergrad, former research intern at Robert Bosch Center for Data Science and Artificial Intelligence at IIT Madras. He's currently a research intern at Purdue University and a research intern at Tensor Lab at Caltech. So over to you, Viday.
Hello, am I audible?
Hello, yeah, you're audible.
Yeah. Thanks for the introduction, Vibha. Just a second, I'll share my screen. Yeah, so is it visible?
Yeah, your screen is visible. Go on.
Okay. So, hi everyone. I hope everyone is staying safe and motivated amidst these times. So, my name is Vidhay Raj Nema, and I'm a final year undergrad here in computer science. I've not taken any honors or minors. In fact, like I think these things, honors and minors, started when we were in second year, I think. So, but yeah, I didn't take any of them. And yeah, so like this is a brief introduction of myself. Technical interest. So my interests are mostly researchy, basically. I'm not like mostly in research field, and in mainly machine learning. So like here are some fields I'm interested in, like deep RL, model based control, and meta learning, robot learning, multi agent systems, and like yeah. And yeah, by the way, all these fields have a lot of intersection between them also. So yeah, if you don't understand these terms right now, it's totally fine. Just take them something like under machine learning. And like yeah, up to my for my other interests, like I like music, both listening and so I used to sing, but not now. Painting, calligraphy is something I write. Although like my batchmates who have seen my writing in during the class, they don't believe it. But yeah, I really do a lot. Very good calligraphy. I like to think like that. Yeah, so I also love reading about history. So like if I was not doing BTech in CS right now, I would definitely be doing like a bachelor related to history or archaeology or something like that. So I'm really into that stuff. And yeah, it is good to have something that you can do in your spare time. So this is something very important. And I say, like, and my seniors also told me that keep some something extra to keep apart from studies or whatever work you're doing. And like for like coming to my journey right till now, like I've done internships at IIT Madras, Purdue, and Caltech. And right now, so like so there's a club called Web Club in NITK. You guys might have heard of it. I'm the chair of the intelligence SIG there, and a member of IEEE and ITK. Okay, so yeah, so since my journey has like at least 2 years of it has been mostly in research. So like I'll just touch upon, so because mostly till now you guys have been seeing basically the basically seniors who are not into not so much into research basically. So basically, yeah, this is how sort of if you Google what is research, which is something very silly to do, Wikipedia will define. Uh, this is technically valid, but yeah, it doesn't go with what actually happens. So what I like with my experience, research, the most important thing in research is about asking the correct question. So more than like finding the answers, it is important to first ask the right question. That is what like I have learned over these 2 years. I've been doing research, and then ultimately when you like figure out those questions, try finding the answers to them and going deeper into that particular subject. And you have to if you want to, if you're basically you want to you're basically obsessive about figuring out why something is the way it actually is. That is when you have that sort of pure research basically, which people do. But yeah, like especially for first years, there is no need to worry about that right now. You should just follow your interests. And yeah, so like many times like so I myself encountered this question, like, okay, so if if you keep learning these things which are already existing, if you keep reading all these articles or reading all these papers or anything which have already been done, so what, like, how do you discover new things actually? So like I found a very answer in this very interesting quote by Richard Feynman, which is like, you keep on learning and learning and learning, and then one day you learn something that no one has ever learned before. Which actually is true. Like I have experienced it myself, so it actually is true. So it somehow happens. You don't know how it happens, but yeah, there is some force which is helping you. And yeah, so the main components basically that. So there are various things, right? You should keep in mind. But according to me, having the passion of doing that particular of working in that area is really important. Hard work, perseverance, self-drivenness, all these things are important, especially while doing working on like a research project and when you are dedicated into it. And yeah, having fun is also very very important. Like that's why I've highlighted it in bold, because otherwise, like you'll not enjoy what you do. So that is very important. And yep, yeah, so unfortunately a little luck is also very important to do research. A lot of times things will go not your way, but yeah, you should keep trust in you should keep trust that things will happen okay. So now, like coming to my journey. So let's start with like the time I came to an ITK. So the first time, like it was like a new but scary beginning. So like I was extremely happy to get away from JE. and a lot of self built pressure, which had been built over me, like by myself, not by anyone else, over the 2 years. And at the same time, I was also very nervous to dive into a field of computer science, because so like I had never experienced CS or anything before joining the college. So if there are first years here who do not know anything about computer science, or they see their batchmates and seniors doing a lot of cool stuff and coding and programming, don't worry, like it's fine. Like I also was like on the same was on the same basically platform as you. And a fun fact was that actually I hated computer science in school. So like there used to be a computer subject, but I never studied it seriously, and that was because like I never really uh, focused on what it actually is. And when I came here, actually studied it, then what I learned very soon is actually it's nothing but like a fancy way of applying mathematics. Whatever you have learned, it's not anything super super rocket science or something. So even the other branch people, it's not really an issue for them to get into this stuff. So in my first year, like I did not do any of like the web dev or ML or system stuff and like other fancy stuff that my batchmates were doing. Like what I focused on, so since like I was like I basically learned C like in my first sem. So like I focused mainly on learning programming, did CP, and like Sri mentioned these hacker rank and stuff like that. So I did those. And yeah, so like another thing which was very good that I did was getting in contact with a lot of seniors. I recommend you to do the same. And like how to do it, so like in my case, I just used to randomly message people like on WhatsApp or LinkedIn. If I got contact from somewhere, like, okay, I'm like new to this place, and like, can you help me with this and that? And the best part was that the seniors really helped. So yeah, that's the best part. Like in our college, the culture in between juniors and seniors. So that's a really good thing. And yeah, so another thing is that I also attended the Insight talk when I was in first year, like listening to my super seniors basically, and like getting overwhelmed. So if you felt overwhelmed, like listening to all these sessions and how will you do it, what like how will you achieve these things? So don't be afraid. Then so like first time was, yeah, like went in this learning only, and about I think by the end of the first time there's something called Envision, like IEEE's Envision project. So like I enrolled myself in it, and that was actually one of the best decisions I made in my undergrad. And by the way, this is not just for like publicity, since I'm a part of IEEE. It actually was one of the best decisions. Like I'll reveal in a while why. And I literally had no idea of what I would do ahead, like after my first sem. I think I applied to Iris also, like Iris internship or something. But I don't remember if I applied in first sem or second sem, but I got rejected. So yeah, that was like a sort of setback, but I didn't sort of like take it very seriously. Then yeah, so like I mentioned, like I was able to mention like a decentish GPA, not consciously focusing on it, but yeah, like again, if you can keep a good GPA, try to keep it, because you don't want any door to be closed just because you didn't have the GPA. Right. So now moving to second sem. Second sem was basically like filled with, yeah, these three things: so exploration, networks, and self confidence. So basically when I came back to college, so like I like during the winter I did not, so there was a like a web club mentorship drive also, but I could not attend it. Like I mostly spent the time enjoying at home. But like when I came back in the second semester, I was very determined to work on that Envision project, and like I had picked that project like in the winter only, in the during the winter holidays. And basically it was a like I think a web development project, building something similar to Josa. You guys might have heard of it. So yeah, like that was a project, and like I was really excited to meet the team and mentors. And mentors were basically like the second year people, and they were really helpful. And why I said that this was one of the best decisions was because of networking. Like I got to got in contact with them, and also talk a lot about general stuff and how to figure out one's field of interest, because that's what I was trying to answer. That was a single question I was trying to find the answer of, that what do I really like. So that is why like in my second semester I like took this project. And so like I put a large effort into the project and learned like a lot of new stuff, like some front end development and using Django for back end. We also implemented like a classical algorithm in the project, so did that. And then like I was very happy, so we got a very nice feedback from the seniors batchmates during the project expo. And like yeah, so like and it was like so, and the time was very, I think so like it was, I think we had roughly 2 months to finish the project, and there was literally very less time. So like I actually finished writing the complete code just an hour before the expo. So, but yeah, presenting it and talking to seniors and batchmates about what we had done was really a confidence boost for me. And like a sort of a like I gave a proof to myself that okay, I can do something in CS, like something which I'm okay at, good at. Then like I continued CP side by side, and sort of enrolled myself in the something called SMPs, some mentorship programs, which are really helpful. Right. And then okay, so then let's come to first year. So I made a separate section for first year summer, because so I was hungry to learn a lot of new things. And there were these two SMPs, basically like a parallel programming SMP and a game development SMP, which I enrolled myself into. So like I was determined to start that, but unfortunately, actually, I was sort of, so basically I had a so like I had a back problem, like since a couple of months, or I think years, 1 or 2 years. But yeah, like that was basically, I procrastinated it. And then actually like it ended up, by like, so basically like when we had like when in the summer I had the medical checkup. So it ended up like the doctor said that you have to have an operation, which is the best treatment. So yeah, that is, so this is like an advice of not to procrastinate these stuff, like health related stuff, as Sri Raksha also said. It is very important. So I was bedridden for a couple of days. I don't remember the medical term for what was the problem, because like I don't have anything to do with biology. So yeah, so that period was actually very bad. And in hindsight, I feel that it was a practice for lockdown before COVID, because like during the whole summer I could not go anywhere. Yeah, it was an emotional distress period also. I had to visit the hospital every day. Actually, that was the only purpose I used to go out, to visit the hospital every day, because there used to be some sort of dressing and all, so I had to go there. And yeah, it was really annoying. But yeah, somehow like I managed to continue SMPs and whatever I could do basically. And the best part was that the mentors, the second years, were at that time very supportive and understanding. And basically like they understood what I was going through. And that was a time I also learned about a lot of new things. So like in my parallel computing SMP, I learned about parallel algorithms, learned a new programming language, Julia, and wrote code basically which could run on GPU to parallelize the algorithms. Did a Udacity course on parallel computing. Then in that game development SMP, like I learned about these search algorithms, classical search algorithms, and sort of developed a game to which I actually got addicted, which with some fancy graphics in Unity. And also Unity is like a game engine basically. You can check it out if you are interested in it. And yeah, the best part was that fortunately I was able to recover by mid July, so I was ready to go to college. Right. So now coming to third sem. So third sem was basically like, yeah, I wrote the title as encountering what I love, because that is when, so like till now I did not mention anything about machine learning or anything. And in the beginning I mentioned that that is what I do. But like that is because like in my first year I was not at all in touch. Like I did not know about what MLAs are, and I never tried to go into it. So I was just happy to get back to college from from the medical stuff and all. Excited to go into the department, to the CS department. And yeah, so like of course like there was a buzz around these club recruitments, which is usually a big thing in second year's life. At least it was for me the case. That's the case for me when I was in second year. So basically like at that time I started diving into ML, and I took this Androings course. It's a very good introductory course to ML for people who are looking to see what it is. And that actually made me realize that all this buzz about ML and MLAI and stuff and like that is pretty much useless. that should not be like this. I'm saying from experience that it should not be the sole purpose of to go into machine learning, because what I have realized is basically ML is really made up of four things. Like I like to call it as facts, probability, algebra, calculus, and statistics, which we all pretty much study in in 11th or 12th. And plus, yeah, you get to see really cool outcomes. So, like if you are not very strong in mathematics, don't worry. There are a lot of courses and study material. Like I can recommend you some later. So that's not a thing to worry about. Yeah, and then following the club recruitments, I sort of I got to this like web club and IEEE, and was excited to to get connected to a huge network of seniors. Then basically came like the time where we choose a project basically. So like a basically third years propose the projects and we choose. So like I picked like an RL project, reinforcement learning, which is my actually field of the field in which I work predominantly. And I took this RL project, and like doing that actually I felt that okay, this is the thing that I really love, because reading the books, there is a book for RL which is pretty much like from where all people start reading about RL. I can give you the name later. So that reading that book, I sort of realized okay, this is the answer to like the people, like this has to work. This is something which has to work, because if this will not work, if RL does not work, then I don't see what else will work. Basically, I had that sort of mentality. Many people don't have in machine learning community. So I like the project very much. I literally got obsessed with the project. Learned about a ton of new stuff like in this research in this field, and like it actually blew my mind. Did like like few courses, and read some blogs and the book. And by the end of third year, so like I started reading research papers, and like for the first time I and like a lot of people find it difficult usually, but yet it was fascinating. So yeah, so like what I decided, okay, so I didn't intern after my third sem in the summer, in the winter. What I decided is to go back and and implement the stuff what I learned basically. So I had read a lot of theoretical things, so I decided to implement the algorithms in code, which was like to get sort of like a exposure of see how the things actually work. And my GPA dropped a little bit, but yeah, like I didn't like it was still okay. Like I wanted to maintain my CGP above 9, and that was okay. And then there is this internship called IAS. You can Google it, and that's a pretty popular program to which second years apply, like in our college and in many other colleges. And I got rejected for it, but like I'll later tell you that in hindsight, this was something. This was actually best like that I got rejected for IAS, and I'll reveal why in a couple of moments. So this was my third sem, and then yeah, so my fourth sem was like filled with learning, plus learning about, yeah, again learning for about, basically we had two parts of the project, and I finished the first phase like by the end of December, and then started working on the second phase after that. One really good thing that I did was that I implemented these algorithms from scratch in the winter. There's a lot of code available online also, but if you can try to implement on your own, it is the best. And push them on GitHub, which actually helped me, showing people the work basically, because like I was seeking opportunities for second year summer, and just writing, like if you email a professor, then just writing that okay, I have worked on this or that, I'm interested in this or that. It is much better to to give the professor like write that in a very brief form, and then give the professor like sort of like a place where he or she can check the code, or can see what you have actually implemented or done. So that was one good thing I did, and I would recommend to other people also. So I then started basically cold mailing profs and for opportunities in the summer, and I wanted to do some research work. So like in my case, like I was able to like email limited number of profs, and I would recommend people to email limited people only, not like you email 50 profs. Try to concentrate it to like at max 10, because like try to try to like send a short number of emails, but each email should be good. and it should not be like one email is a copy paste of the other. You should change it according to the prof. But yeah, you can leave it for the other, like in another talk. That's a different talk. So like I had concentrated my choice of work to RL. So like there are very limited profs who do RL in India. So my choices were limited. And yeah, I got rejected for IAS, and it was at that time it was really heartbreaking, because like there was a prof who was also an IAS fellow, so like he could take people for IAS, and I got a reply from him, but like where he agreed to take me, but then I got rejected for IAS. Maybe like the system doesn't work like that or something, but yeah, that was what happened. And there is this another research internship program called Narendra, which got cancelled last year due to COVID, but I think it will be carried out. So it's an IISc program, again a research internship program, I think for second years. And despite of all this, so like I got two offers from IISc Bangalore and IIIT Hyderabad, both basically research offers. I got email from professors back, the research group there, and and then after that, I think like around in February end, I think. So the most expected thing happened is in IIT Madras, there's a prof who works on RL, and I got a reply from him, and like that was completely unexpected. Like I emailed him when I got the rejection for IAS. After a couple, like I was very like heartbroken, and after a couple of minutes, I emailed that prof, and like I unexpectedly got a reply in like half an hour or 1 hour. So that was very very surprising, and that prof just directed me to one of his students, like one of his I think PhD students or someone, and I had a resume screening and interview. So basically keep your resume ready, like you don't know what what you will face, because so like at that time, like I got this opportunity unexpectedly. If I didn't have the resume ready, then it could be maybe delayed or something. So yeah, finally he agreed to take me. And why I said that IAS, like getting rejected from IAS was good, because if I had got IAS, none of this would have happened, because then I would not have emailed him, because I sort of underestimated myself that I could not work with him, work with this prof, because like he's very 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 next level guy. So I was not emailing him, but since I got rejected, I emailed him and I actually got a better offer. So yeah, things happen, like such unexpected things happen. And yeah, by mid March, like yeah, the COVID happened and we came all back to home. And at that time we thought that it's just a matter of 15 days, but I think it has been 15 months now. So yeah, again, you don't know what will happen. So when I came back, then I sort of requested my IIT Madras research group to requested for the remote work, and fortunately they agreed. So like I think around April I started working with them. Yeah, around April, I think. So yeah, this was my fourth sem. It was yeah good till now, and then basically it came my first first encounter of getting some sort of real taste of research. Although I don't believe that it's a real taste, because it was remote research, and I haven't done any research internships on site, and there's a big difference between doing working, like going to the lab and working, as compared to doing remote research. So yeah, so basically I was very excited, and because like my prof and my research group was like one of the best, like I think the best for RL in India, and ML in general. So basically then what I did is, like around March, I like spent a couple of days completing my IEEE project, and then I also, so like my prof actually, so I told my prof about the project I did, and he told me to write a survey about it actually. So like whatever papers I had read or whatever I had learned, I wrote it in like a big blog, which became like a survey, and it was really good. Like a lot of seniors liked that, and it really helped me, to showcase people that okay, I have done this project and I have written this sort of survey. So yeah, if you can do such things and like make it a blog or a website and put it in showcase, it's really good. So yeah, around that time I like dive deep into reading research papers, sincerely diving deep into that, and like so my problem statement was actually like more or less opposite of what my IEEE project was. So my IEEE project was based on how to basically fail the RL algorithms, how to attack them, And my internship work, initially the problem statement was actually to counter them, to build some defensive methods. But this is something which is very common in research. Basically, you start with something, but you end up doing something which is very different. So in my case, like when I dive deep into it, so I figured out actually like a stronger problem, which has like the roots were pretty deep, and I found like a stronger issue which is in multi-agent systems, and that is how I went into, like, I dived into multi-agent systems. And as the time went, I basically, so like the my contribution was that I sort of developed these some like three novel algorithms for multi-agent RL, and I was pretty much sure that they are gonna work. Basically, like, because of intuition, not any sort of rigorous proof that okay, this thing is lower bounded, so it will work. Not like that, but I had a big intuition, and my prof also had an intuition that it would work. So like, yeah, my prof was very supportive here, and like I gave him these ideas, and formalized it and stuff like that, and was actually ready to implement it. But so this is again something which happens again and again in research. That is why I told that luck also matters a little bit. But yeah, you cannot do anything about such things. You can just try. So like, my work got actually scooped. So like, for people who don't know what scoop means, is basically like if someone comes with that particular work or research paper before you, basically, like, and mostly it's like not a big gap, not like 1 or 2 years after. So basically, there was a research group in Caltech, and actually, I'm working with the same research group right now, which basically, from their research group, there came a paper around the same time, which was again, yeah, pretty much what I had done independently. So yeah, that was again, like, at that time it was a big disaster for me. But yeah, right now I realize that, yeah, such types of things are very common, and it's a very common setback in research. If there are a lot of motivations to do research, there has to be some sort of setbacks. So at such times, you should try to get connected to people who can motivate you and give you some sort of constructive feedback. So my profs and one of my seniors, they really helped me through this. And my prof actually encouraged me. He chatted with me personally, and like, told me not to give up. And basically, so yeah, that was something which is like, I'm thankful to him even today. And yeah, so that's how my summer went. And yeah, this was like a very good experience. So that, like, this was actually my best summer of the 3 summers I have had till now. Yeah, this is, yeah, probably the best one. And then after this, so like, I decided not to sit for internship interviews, which happened at the beginning of fifth semester. And it was a calculated risk at that time. Another reason was that, we have a rule which was, I think, introduced couple of, like, 2 or 3 years ago, where if get an on-campus offer, like when you sit for internship interviews, and then if you reject it, then you cannot reject it for some other off-campus offer, by the way, not for an on-campus offer. Then you cannot sit for placements for first 15 days in your final year. So I was very much inclined to work on research only. So I decided not to sit for interviews. I didn't even prepare for them actually. I spent my whole time, like, whole summer working on this particular project, and trying to develop a good bonding with my prof. So that is something which is really, really important in research. You have to develop a good bonding with your professor, basically. So that was my second year summer, where I first got to really know, okay, how research is like. Very, very, very tiny bit of, I would say, a taste. Then basically fifth sem again was learning plus seeking opportunities, because remember, like, I skipped the interviews. So like, I was left on like completely on my own to sort of seek any opportunity for do any research internship. There was no, like, a career development center to help me or something. So then in the fifth sem, I was determined to work on a follow-up work in my summer. So it's in research, especially in ML research, it's very common, such things that, like, a research group comes before you with an idea and publishes it. So many times, you work on something, work on a follow-up, or you modify something and then you publish results or something like that. So I thought of doing the same, but at that time actually, so like I'm saying these things now because I have experience now. But at that time, I didn't have any like any much. I didn't have much experience, so I actually pitched several ideas, like discussed with my prof, but they couldn't be executed actually. Like my sem also started, plus my prof also got a little busy because like profs also will have their teaching work to do, right? So he also got busy at the center. Then basically what I did is like I started looking for these research internship opportunities for my third year. And then there are these, so like for the people who don't know, there are several research programs which you can apply to. You're so like in second year, you might not be eligible or for these, yeah, for these programs which are like in which you can do an internship at like a university outside India. But in third year, you mostly are eligible. So yeah, there are various programs like MyTax, Start, Surf, and all. I can tell you that later if you want to know about it. So one advice that a quick advice that I would give to people who are interested in research internship is that there is this internship program called MyTax, which is for internship in Canada. And like last year there was an issue of like our college used to be a member of like an eligible member in this MyTax list. Like the people from our college could apply to MyTax, but yeah, this was the case last to last year. But last year I think somehow there is some problem, I think, with MHRD or something happened, so we could not apply. Like I could not apply for MyTax. None of my batchmates could apply actually, and it's a really good program actually. Its deadline is in September. So basically, there are other people also who actually dealt with this issue like in greater detail. A couple of people in IEEE only actually. So you can check with them. I can give you their contacts and really figure out what is the problem and ask the college, uh, to basically regain the membership basically. So I was, yeah. So like moving on. So like in my fifth sem, I was in constant touch with my IIT Madras professor, and basically what happened is this is actually the point why you should have a good bonding with prof. One is thing that when you apply later for higher studies, then the prof will give you good LOR, letter of recommendation. And then another thing is that these profs, these senior profs usually have a lot of contacts. So there is this another research program called DARD. So it's for Germany, internship in Germany, and there's a really nice research group for robot learning and reinforcement learning in TU Darmstadt. I really liked it, and basically I was discussing this with, like, I asked my IIT Madras prof for the LOR, and he asked me like what are the places I was applying to. So like I told the name of the prof and the research group. So actually what happened is, so these things actually happen. It's not just a coincidence. So my IIT Madras prof actually was a very close friend of the head of the lab. So the process became really like a cakewalk for me. And because like it was just like, so my IIT Madras prof dropped an email to that Germany prof and strongly recommended me to him. And then like, yeah, I received an informal offer for internship by October. So yeah, like it is very difficult otherwise, to, because there are, I think, tons of applications there, like on their there's a portal there. At most of the places you can apply to the lab, but chances of getting selected via that are very, very less. So even though your application is very good due to the bulk of applications, so if you have some sort of like contacts like this, or if someone can recommend you, then it would be great actually. So yeah, and during this time, I actually also like I undertook another IEEE project, and I went deeper into this multi-agent systems area and in reinforcement learning, and I really loved it. And another thing which I did was, I don't know if it was a bad or good decision. Earlier, I thought that it was a good, but now I think that it had some consequences also. So I emailed the Caltech research group basically, and the first author of that paper, telling them that okay, I had also worked on something similar, and I would like to start a collaboration with you guys, something like that. So I emailed them, I think in November, I think, and by December end, I actually got a response from the first author of that paper, and they agreed to work with me. So that was one good thing that happened by the end of winter, you say. And yeah, so that was fifth sem, like for me. And yeah, for my GPA, again for this sem dropped a little. it was a reason. A reason for dropping GPA was, I think, due to these, like, it is very difficult to evaluate answers and to give correct marks in during online semester basically. So it's really hard. So, but yeah, you can do nothing about it. So I didn't really regret much, and because my, like, yeah, as I said, my ultimate GP was just above 9, so I was fine. So this was my fifth sem, and till now everything was very, like, decent good. Like, everything was going good, and I would say that I was liking very much what I do. And then, yeah, again, like, so then the sixth sem happened, and sixth sem was like a sort of a mixed a semester with mixed feelings for me. Like, as I've written, like, collaboration plus juggling plus downfall. So yeah, initially it was good, but during the time, like, by the time it ended, like, it was like my worst period of my undergrad basically. So another good, so, like, so as I said, the starting was very good. So I think in January first week, I got an unexpected email from, like, a PhD student at Caltech, and he somehow came across, like, the work that I did at IIT Madras. Like, I had not published it anywhere, but like, I had written some documents, and I think those documents reached him somehow, like, via either my prof or via that basically that guy, like, this first author, either by these two people. I don't know how. So it reached him, and he sort of, so he emailed me, telling that he has come across that work, and basically he offered me a position in the lab, like, of interning in the summer. And there's this research program called SURF, Summer Undergraduate Research Fellowship. It's by Caltech, and it's a really nice program. And you get to work with, so, like, if you can go there physically, it's really awesome. I could not go there, but yeah, it's a very, like, very prestigious program, and like, it's open to, like, it's worldwide open basically. Anyone can apply for it, but yeah, like, they have more preference for Caltech and US people. So, and yeah, as I said, like, it was really like a privilege to go there. And yeah, like, I was, and, like, finally I decided to choose it over the other offer I had from, like, the German prof. So yeah, this was, like, till this time it was really good. And then basically what I thought is, like, I started a collaboration actually. So the thing was that, like, the paper that came out from Caltech, their author was, like, at that time when the paper came, he was at Caltech, but I think he was a postdoc at Caltech. But by this time, by the sixth sem, he had become a prof in Purdue, basically. So like, I started collaborating with them, and this happened around in March. So basically, my thinking was that, sort of, like, because, like, it's online sem, and you're free more than, you don't have much work, like, a lot of your work which you do in college, like, like, going to mess or doing running errands, you don't do that like, at home. So I had a lot of free time, so I thought, okay, let's work with this prof and these people. And what I decided is, basically, this project that I undertook would be like a follow up of the work at IIT Madras. So I had, like, a clear idea in mind of what I wanted to do. But yeah, so, like, but somehow the things didn't happen. It's actually, like, it was, so, like, that time, so, like, in March, April, May, that was, I think, the worst, like, of my research experience. But like, it was bad for a couple of reasons actually, which, like, if I go into detail, it will be a very long list. But yeah, again, like, in short, you can say that, like, the people. So one thing was that, the prof expected me to work full time, but I could not, because, like, I had semester also. So that was one issue. And yeah, and at this point, actually, remote research felt like remorse. So it was, yeah, it was not a good time. People were not cooperative, so, like, I was the only one who was working. The other people were, they were occupied in something else, so they could not give their time to project. So plus, like, there were a few disagreements between me and between the profs. But yeah, again, this period actually taught me a lot of valuable lessons, which I'm using right now. And I didn't get them in my IIT Madras experience, like, in my second year experience. Even though my second year experience was really great, but I didn't get these valuable lessons. So you get, so basically, it was like, okay, the medicine was very bitter, but the patient needed it. So something like that. So yeah, and the month of May was actually the worst. I didn't start my Caltech work in May. I thought of starting it from June, because I wanted to finish at least somehow, do some sort of your decent work. And then in the end, actually, so another setback was that I even wrote a paper actually to submit it to a workshop. So basically, a workshop is place where, so my work was not, so since it was like a 2.5 or 3 months, like it was barely, like it was not completed, uh, like uh, like completed with the level of the level. It was not of the level to submit to a prestigious conference or something. And these days the submissions are really competitive. So like I decided to submit it in a workshop. In a workshop, it is a little bit easier to get papers and get quick feedback from the people who are inside that field. But again, yeah. So like my prof, my advisor didn't allow me to do so, and that was at that time annoying. But the reason, yeah, was again that. Like, so what he wanted is to what wanted was to complete it and do it rigorously, and then later publish it at like a big conference or something. But like I didn't really have time, because in 6th sem it was like 6th sem was coming at end. I had to start my Caltech work, and then again, and then later I had to also start looking at my higher studies application. So yeah, all in all, it was, yeah, like in the end, I was like, by the end of May, I was extremely like sort of burnt out. And yeah, I would not suggest actually people to to juggle with these things, that you already have an offer, and then you start something, and then you're giving a lot of time to it, and then basically you run into basically keeping more things on your plate than you can manage. So that was a 6th sem. It was, yeah, mixed. And it was a bad period, but it taught me a lot of things. Yeah, it was a bad period for my mental health also. So I would suggest people to to take care of these things. And again, remember that like you are not the one with whom all these things are happening. These type of things happen with everyone basically. So yeah, this was the end of third year, I would say. Then third year summer, which actually, so like, is the time till couple of months, like 1 or 2 months back. So I started my Caltech work like in June. And so actually I also like had a chance to visit Caltech, but like I could not. So like the visa process and all actually was very difficult to do due to COVID. So then finally, okay, I said okay, then let's start working remote also. Oh, remote only. So then so I started it with leaving all the bad experiences behind. And the good thing was that I started working on something new. So basically, like, it was in RL only, because I love that field. But it was in a different part of that, related to control stuff, model based RL and all. And again, yeah, like I liked that very much when I read about it. So yeah, but yeah, again, so like as I said, like a bitter truth is that like ML research is quite competitive these days, especially after ML becoming popular, very popular these days. Again, yes, these type of things happen. That, so like in this internship also, like by July end, actually we found an existing paper which again was pretty similar to what we were doing. So again, yeah, there was not much value in doing that, but and that paper got missed by my mentor and prof. But yeah, this time I didn't, sort of, I was this time I didn't, cry about it. I didn't cry about it. Basically, I quickly, basically I quickly switched on, thinking, okay, what else I can do, and working on a follow up, which I'm doing right now. So yeah, basically it doesn't matter that much. It is very common. Because it's really, so it's, if you think like that, see, like there are crores of people like in the world, and they all are thinking, and like millions of people are doing ML right now. So it is very likely that what idea you think of, some other guy also thought of that idea. But yeah, like that is why you have to be fast, but at the same time you should learn from these setbacks. So yeah, and again, so like I was very puzzled to about sitting for placements. And also the thing was that my research area, so like companies during the placements, they do not care much about research internships, or like especially for machine learning. So they are mostly focused like on DSA and networks, operating systems, and all. If you have done some like ML related to which is general ML, then it is still okay. But my research area is like RL is till now pretty much, like a laboratory topic. You don't see a lot of, although there have been numerous breakthroughs, but still you don't see it everywhere. Like something like Siri or Google Assistant, you'd see that in your phone. So that's natural language processing. But RL is still like in development phase basically. So it's not really directly getting applied to industries. It is getting applied in big industries, but not like the companies which come to our college. So finally, like after talking to a lot of seniors, like I finally decided not to sit for placements, and I would. So like it was so like this. I took this decision after after thinking a lot, and in my case, I found it to be suitable. But I would not suggest that it would work for everyone. Like I have some other backup option, so that is why it worked for me. But yeah, like it necessarily does not work for everyone. So like if you are getting an opportunity, definitely, I have seen a lot of people, a lot of my seniors, who did research internships, did research work, but then also sit for placements. But yeah, like somehow it didn't work out for me because I personally like to do only one thing at a time. Like I cannot focus on like preparing for interviews also, and then doing research internships also, because like doing research actually requires a lot of time, patience, perseverance, and stuff like that. And I wanted to sincerely work on this topic. So yeah, that is the reason I decided to skip placements also. Again, yeah, again I'm saying that it doesn't work the same way for everyone. If you are taking such decision, make sure you consult your family, your friends, your seniors, and people like who are close to you. So and then okay, the seventh sem. So basically seventh sem I've left it blank because like yeah, let the time reveal it. So this has been my journey till now, and in the end I would just like to give like a few points of enlightenment, I would say, like from my experience. So first of all, for the first years, you should, so like the biggest advice to you is explore a lot, doesn't matter your branch. Explore a lot and try not to converge before you really find what you love. So like in my case, if you see, I did a lot of things. I did CP, web dev. I tried parallel computing, game dev related things. And after trying a lot of things, then I finally found, what actually I love. So that is the main thing that you should do. You should not quickly, run to the field that, okay, this field is very popular. A lot of people are doing nowadays. So I'll also do that. And do not worry about failing. So like, being failed in being failed for in a project, or not achieving what you thought you would, is really common, like especially in first year. So don't feel bad about it. So that's the first point. Second point, yeah, from my experience, is that try not to juggle a lot of things at the same time, because as you saw, like in my case, that was a problem. Like in hindsight, I think at that time I should not have like worked with the Purdue prof, because it was too much hectic for me at that time. So, but yeah, so it was it is difficult to say if it was a good decision, but make sure that if you're taking that work up, you really want to do it and you have enough time for it. So that is the second point. Actually, and the third point is really actually something I found very interesting, which is that whatever happens for good, basically. And like you might have heard of a lot of people saying this. There are various stories also, which fairy tales which tell you about this. But I have seen the proofs of it, like in my case. Like if you see, like if you think that, so if I had not been rejected for IAS, I would never have had the opportunity to work with at IIT Madras, which is from where the things really started working out. So like getting rejected for IAS was the best thing in hindsight. So yeah, and the second point was, yeah, like again, yeah, if you think of the work getting scooped, so if that thing would not have happened, I would never have got an offer from like the Caltech research group, because it is really difficult to get to a place like Caltech. And if somehow that document would not, like my work would not have reached that PhD student, it would have been a bright possibility that I would not have got that fellowship program, even though if I would apply directly through their portal or something. So yeah, that's how it is, and you can only connect these things looking backwards. So there's this Steve Jobs famous speech, 15-minute speech at Stanford, where he says about connecting the dot backwards. So this is really something which I experienced, and yeah. So these are three major advices. Then an advice related to research for people who are interested. See, like for for experienced researchers, for profs, it is really simple for them, to say this sentence, which is a classical sentence. Basically, like their reaction. So suppose you are stuck at some place and you are not able to find any, if you after googling you are not able to find anything that is helping you. So they will say that, okay, if it had been done already before, it would not be called research. And this is the point where basically the student doesn't have an answer to this basically. So actually, these like when a prof says this sentence, I actually understood the meaning of this during my work at Purdue. That's when actually I understood, okay, this what this actually sentence means actually. So that is one advice to researchers, that keep trying out stuff. Make sure that you do what you love basically. So yeah, and then again the thing is that especially during the COVID times, I would recommend you to be in touch with some people. Like it could be anyone, seniors, or your family members, or your friends, or anyone who can give you some sort of constructive advice and feedback. And I have found, like, I have tried it personally. I like I'm in contact with some amazing seniors who continue to give me very constructive feedback and telling me where I'm going wrong or right if I have to make a decision. So try to be in touch with the people like this, because yeah, ultimately it's good for you. So yeah, I think that's it from my side. And yeah, here is my email and my contact if you have any questions for later. And I actually, so like this is a link to a really great reading. Although like so like the title is that the title of this sort of like it's a 100-page document. Book is something called, like, book is PhD Grind, and it's written by Philip Gore, who's a prof I think in UCSD. It's not about PhD basically. It's not like you have to know about PhD or research, or if you're in first year you should not read this. But it's a really good read basically. If you if you are looking for some places where you have to find self motivation for work, rather than something like um, you're like a people motivating you to work. If you want to do work which is completely via self motivation, reading this document will help you a lot. And I would recommend reading this in free time. So yeah, I think that's it from my side. And yeah, I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Vidya. That was a very detailed presentation. So,
Yeah.
anyone has any questions, please drop it in the chat box, or you can unmute and ask right now. Okay, so there doesn't seem to be any questions. So, in case you have any questions in the future, also, Vidya will be open to taking them. You can always contact him. And yeah, this was a very detailed presentation. So, thank you so much, Vidya, for taking time.
Yep. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, and that's all we have for today, guys. We had two speakers, so I think it's time we close this session. We hope you guys had something valuable to take from this session, and join us back in tomorrow for the day 3 of Insight. Thank you. Thank you for your time.